Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Sanket Shrikanth with us today, live from Mumbai, India. He's the founder at Scandalous Food, 2x founder in Horika, served 2.5 crores meals, which is 10 million means, actually 25 million meals. He's an IIM Calcutta dropout, that is, and a Thai food network leader. Today, we're going to talk about the food industry in India. He's in a specific niche, which is quite interesting and quite the analytical guy. I saw his post on LinkedIn and very interesting altogether. This podcast is brought to you by podpire.com. If you want to start your own podcast, monetize it, we have a free ebook for you and a masterclass on our website. We teach you how to monetize through AdSense, through lead generation, and through podcast sponsoring. So podpire.com for that. Sanket, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Thanks for having me here, Charles. We were speaking backstage. So I am a food entrepreneur. I'm a serial food entrepreneur. I have been in the food space for 15 years, pretty active in the food service ecosystem in India. Founded Urban Spice in 2011, grew it to make it one of the larger food OOH companies in India. I sold Urban Spice in October 2019. And finally, I founded Scandalous Foods in August 22. We are a one-stop shop for popular Indian desserts for the restaurant industry. We sell sweets with 6 month shelf life, preservative-free in single-serve format. To the restaurant industry, we've already sold 2.5 million plus sweets to the restaurants in India as we speak.
And why did you get in the food industry? I mean, yeah, everyone eats food. There's a lot of competition in that niche. India, yeah, is like a jungle. There's a lot of people there, so and a lot of competition, right? So, how did you get in at first? What were the reasons? And have you been successful competing in that industry?
So I'll break that into three parts. A, why did I get into the food industry? So I have an eye to find a niche within crowded spaces. I'll explain that to you in my next few sentences. Of course, is there an opportunity to make a big business out of selling food in India? Of course, India eats 300 crore meals a day, right? We're a country with 100 crore people, so obviously there's a lot of opportunity. And if whether there's competition in this space, of course, I think there's competition in every space, right? I mean, whether it's finance, food, art, wherever, there is a lot of competition. So when I said I have I have an eye of finding a niche within crowded spaces. So how did I found urban? So even before Urban Spice, when I was in college, I had started a meal service for the college students. So when I was studying in Nashik, I realized that there was a dearth of North Indian food in Nashik, and I started a North Indian meal service back then. And I grew it to about 600 meals a day. And when I was in the final year of my college, I sold it to a larger caterer. So that was my first stint with food actually. Then even with Urban Spice, how did I start Urban Spice? So I when I was staying alone in Mumbai, and I was studying for CFP, I realized that there was a huge need for homely meals in a hygienic disposable packaging, which was not prevalent back then in 2011, and that's how Urban Spice was born. And then eventually, how did we get into food OOH services? So I realized that the trade exhibition space in India was growing big time in 2016, and there was no organized player selling food there. And I saw that there was a huge captive audience in every trade exhibition who would want to eat food, and there was no brand selling food there except for Domino's. And that's where we created the brand Urban Spice, and we became pretty big there. And again, with now with Scandalous Foods, while ice creams are doing a great job in the post meal impulse ice space of desserts, I realized that even though India consumes 17 mithais for every ice cream eaten in India. Mithais are usually not available with a shelf life in India, and we got the mithais on the ice cream playbook, and now yeah, that's how I got into this. So yeah, that I hope that answers your question.
Right. And with Scandalous Food, how is the business doing nowadays? Who do you target? How much clients do you have? And what is your revenue goal for this year?
Right. So, Scandalous Foods is a two-year-old company. Um, we so who are we targeting? We are targeting every person who eats out or orders in a meal in India. India eats out or orders in about 8 to 9 crore meals a day as we speak, and the consumerism that is growing in India is unparalleled. I think this is going to grow 5 times in the next 7 years, and we've sold about in the last 2 years we've sold about 25 lakh pieces of sweets, or maybe even more. We work with I'm not sure if you know these companies where you stay, but we work with companies like Zepto Cafe, Eat Fit, Swiggy Private Brands, Wow Momo, ITC Cloud Kitchens, Charcoal Eats, House of Biryani, to name a few. So we realized if you want to sell sweets to a post meal buyer, the best channel to sell sweets would be through a restaurant industry. So that's the channel that we've chosen. In terms of revenue, in terms of dollars, it should be somewhere around uh, $50,000 ARR is what our revenue is right now, and yeah, we've raised a seed round back in Feb 24, where some marquee angel investors in India have participated, some stalwarts from our food industry. And yeah, as we speak, we are in the middle of another fundraise, and yeah, we hope to grow. I mean, during the calendar year 24, the company grew about six x in revenues, and we hope to grow another 5x in 2025. Uh,
Right. So your channels, you don't sell directly to the consumer, but only like restaurants and trade shows and so forth, if I understand well.
Absolutely. So yeah, we sell to the restaurants. So we don't sell to the end consumer directly. We're not B2C as we speak. We are a
Okay.
B2B company. So we plan to go B2C, but that should happen in 2026 and not even 2025.
Right. And okay, why sweets? Is that like an emerging market in India? Like culturally, has that been a thing before? Why target that specific niche?
So, see, I mean, it's not an emerging market. I think globally, the confectionery market is huge, right? I mean, globally, about 12% of the food market is the confectionery market. India, of course, is a sweet tooth capital of the world. Uh, uh, and as we, I mean, and like we say, India has about 140 crore mouths to eat food. So there is a lot of so India majorly consumes sweets during celebrations and occasions. Thankfully, India has a lot of festivals and a lot of occasions that we consume sweets. That when we do during which we consume sweets. But I thought that I mean, I've seen this thing since decades in my own household and in many other households. How we say it in Hindi कि खाने के बाद कुछ मीठा होता तो मजा आ जाता. So basically, if there was something sweet to eat post a meal, it would be amazing. I mean, so everybody wants to, and the last course needs to be a dessert. So I realized that that was a huge opportunity, and that's how I got into sweets.
Love that. Do you want to build the next Zomato, or do you have more humble ambitions?
So well, we want. I mean, like I said, India. I mean, Zomato is obviously a very different sector, right? The Zomato's food logistics, and Zomato has, I think, done a brilliant job in um, making India order in food. Otherwise, India was a very takeout, like a dine out or a takeaway market. Zomato has taught us to, order in food. So yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, I would love to take inspiration from Zomato, and I would want to get get Indians to order a sweet post every meal eaten out or ordered in. So yeah, in that aspect, I would obviously look at Zomato as a great inspiration.
Right. But where do you want to take your business? Because you're raising rounds of financing, right? So what's the scale of in the sweets industry, and why would you raise capital for that one? Because you
Well,
seem to be like in a more traditional industry rather than software.
so yes, you're right. But I mean, I believe that I'm tapping a $25 billion gold mine.
Okay.
It's a complete white space as we speak, and I mean, there is one way to grow it traditionally. You do $10,000 this year, then you do 15 the next, then 20 the next, and then so on. But today, I believe there is a lot of capital available in the world, and if a giant or someone like, let's say, Zomato realizes that it's a good idea, they could come in with a lot of capital and then cannibalize all the efforts that we would have taken over the last 2 years. Hence, it's important to raise financing and grow at a very fast pace. Because initially you need to work on suppressed margins to make people used to your idea and get habituated to your idea that you're seeding into their mind. So, and that's the reason why financing is important. And the idea is that even if I could capture as the first mover, if I could capture about 5% of the market, I see that as a uh, as as making Scandalous Foods a $1 billion company over the next 8-10 years.
Right. Okay. And the food, where is it produced actually, and how do you choose your quote unquote suppliers?
Right. So, so what we've done, so we manufacture our own desserts. We are not getting it contract manufactured. We've set up our manufacturing unit in Nashik. Why we've chosen Nashik is because it's closer to the dairy belt, and most of the Indian desserts are made out of milk or milk solids and and saturated fats. So closeness to a dairy belt obviously helps in terms of raw material, and we supply to about 9 cities in India through cold chain logistics.
Got it. And okay, so you build your own product, but you don't own the full manufacturer, or do you plan to own your full plant yourself to scale production?
We own the plant by the way. So, but yeah,
Okay.
we own the plant, and of course, the dream is to. I mean, right now the plant is about 6,000 square feet.
Okay.
The dream is to have in the next 2 years a 80,000 square feet mega factory making desserts with a lot of automation and with minimal man handling of the desserts, and through a lot of robotics and food technology. That's how we would want to make these desserts eventually.
Okay, and the restaurants that sell your sweets, they buy directly from you. Why you have very few competition? You mentioned. Why, as a restaurant owner, would I buy from you? Is it like high margins on sweets?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So for the restaurants, sweets is side of the plate category. So if I take let's say McDonald's as an example, burger is their center of the plate, fries, iced tea, Coke is their side of the plate category, coffee and all of that. So that way, in the Indian context, the biryani is the center of the plate, and the sweets and the beverages, they are the side of the plate categories. Now, each side of the plate category usually contributes to about 3 to 4% of the top line, and no restaurant would hire a skilled chef to manufacture the side of the plate category, and hence they would buy it from outside. uh, is it high margins? Yes, it's fab margins for the restaurant. So the price at which they buy from us, they do a 3x markup on the price and they sell it to the end consumer. So it's a win-win-win, right? I mean, we get volumes, they get margins, then consumer gets the sweet.
So how do you sell to them? It must be like more traditional. Is it by calling them? Is it by visiting the restaurant physically? How do you manage your sell channel?
So yeah, I mean, it's a mix of things. I mean, we hold. So what I do is, we hold food founders meetups, and that's how we make ourselves more discoverable. Then we do chef meetups. We do procurement meetups. We do supply chain leader meetups in the food industry. Then of course we have feet on the ground who go and visit restaurants. Yeah, that's how pretty much. And by virtue of spending so many years in the industry, we know a lot of restaurants to begin with, so that also helps, and that's how we reach out to people. So while we call uh, it B2B, which is business to business, I call it H to H, right? It's human to human. Even if a business is talking to a business, there is some human talking to another human in that business. So the relationships, I believe, are very important even in a business to business, for the B2B business also to grow.
And how big is your team right now?
So we've got about 51 people working in the factory, producing the food. And then apart from that, we've got 14 people, uh, handling the supply chain, the finance, the sales, and the other things.
Why did you drop out of school?
Interesting. So when I got into IIM Calcutta, I was already founding Urban Spice. I was running Urban Spice, and Urban Spice was scaling at that time. And I remember during an exam, uh, there was an important event, which was like one of my first events that was happening, and I chose to do the event over the exam. And then eventually, the college told me I was low on attendance, and they wanted me to repeat the year, which I thought was gibberish. And eventually, I realized that, uh, I mean, what the MBA degree would have taught me is something that I've been learning over the last years. And yeah, I mean, eventually it paid off. Had I not done that event, maybe I would never have got into food OH, and maybe I would never have made Urban Spice as big as it became.
Love it, man. Well, thanks for showing up today, Sanket. Where can people find out more about you?
Uh, I mean, you can come to Bombay, catch up with me at.
Sure.
I'm usually available at a couple of cafes, at the Ottoman Cafe or the Starbucks here. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and yeah, these are like the best places to catch me.
There you go. So that was Sanket, Shrikanth, and Charles Cormier for